Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Our question in hour one was, how catastrophic is this for the CFL? I'll say it. It's not going to stop me from watching games. Chad Kelly or not Chad Kelly. I don't care. League's been around. Is it catastrophic?
No. No, it's not catastrophic, but I always look at it this way. It's sort of like when you talk to coach, and let's say there's an instance with players and maybe breaking curfew or going out. What good thing ever happened after midnight? What value sneaking out or doing something that you think you might get away with? What's the value in it? The fact is that there isn't. So it's not going to sink the team. It may not even sink a guy's career. But I'm like, why take the bullets? Now, and keep in mind, Toronto as a CFL city is always going to be barely floatable. Because this is a terrible football market. Sorry, Toronto, but it's just not a football market. I mean, they get more tangled into, as the saga, as the Leafs fall. In this episode, the Toronto Maple Leafs have found themselves losing yet another playoff series. June, where I know. I've seen the show. The show ends the same way every time. I mean, what time? I mean, if you went to sequels of movie and the movie ended up, they said, yeah, but the end is the same every time. Like, why would I go and see another episode out of the sequel for this movie? Because they're all the same. And guess what? It will continue to be
because you do.
Look, unless the next coach is Gandalf, I'm pretty sure they're not winning.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
One night in Edmonton, we were out on the town, and there was a guy by the name of Bain Norrie.
How about that?
Bain says, "Did I ever tell you guys about the night I was out with the Rolling Stones?" And I'm like, "Come on, what was Mick Jagger like?" And he's like, "Well, no, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards weren't there. It was the rest of the band." And I hit the floor. "You weren't with the Rolling Stones then, Bain."
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Shout out Edmonton, Rose and Crown. That's where we were. And Bain Norrie. Hashtag Bone. Hi, Edmonton. Welcome to the RP Show. We are live and in color, I think, and on the radio. I want to say hey to my guy, Jeff, hotelier to the stars, who's driving across the state of Minnesota and listening right now on WQEE, your southern home of sports and talk, Atlanta. Let's bring in the Moose. I hope you're ready to talk a lot of hockey today, Moose, because that's what we have. Although, who knows, right? Who knows? We could go off-roading. That's kind of what we do here. But let me say this before we jump into our topics, which I think we got some really good ones today. How are you? What's popping in Toronto where you hang your hat?
I'm great. We've avoided a little bit of rain. Life is good for the most part. I don't want to, steal the quick sip. Not a bad thing this time this year for the Toronto Argonauts to not be a big player in this city. This is one time I think they're happy to go under the radar. You don't see a lot of training camp news and notes around the city. But you know what? It's spring and all that stuff in the air. Pretty exciting.
Okay, good stuff. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan, and we'll get down to business. The guests today are former NHL referee Tim Peel, and I'll say this to him when he joins us later on. I don't know how many years he reffed in the NHL. It was a lot, Jim. He's doing great things on social media. Everything happens for a reason. I firmly believe that. He's now a media star, and he can take this as far as he wants to go. He's like close to 60,000 followers on Twitter now, and he's got that unique insight that you don't get everywhere. Tim Peel will join us later on in hour one, and then Rich Sutter, the guy that needs absolutely no introduction on this show. He is a member of Hockey's First Family. He will be with us later on in hour two. So we hit the horn, right? So let's jump into the big story. Is not where I'm opening. The big story is actually number two. Number one of the quick show topics is this, and it's from last night. Wyatt Johnson scored a shorthanded goal and one on the power play as the visiting Dallas Stars defeated the Colorado Avalanche 5-1 Monday night to take a 3-1 series lead. Miro Heiskanen, Evgeny Dadonov, and Sam Steele also scored for the Stars, who can win the series Wednesday in Texas. And the visiting Carolina Hurricanes scored 4 goals in the third to beat the New York Rangers 4-1 Monday. They're pulling a Hulk Hogan, right? The leg on the bottom rope. The Hurricanes are coming back. Jordan Staal, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Jordan Martinook, and Martin Necas scored for the Canes, who have won 2 straight and now trail the series 3-2. Game 6 goes Thursday in Raleigh. So before we get to the big story, as if this wasn't big enough, here's where my mind goes on Dallas beating Colorado to go up in this series now 3-1. Winnipeg Jets fans are like, really? Colorado's not that good? I've got Dallas picked to win the Stanley Cup, so this fits right in my narrative. This has not been a great series unless you're a Stars fan, and we know a few. And as far as Carolina, New York, I got Carolina going to the Stanley Cup too, by the way. So I was pretty happy with Monday night's results. How about you?
Yeah, not quite 2 for 2 on my picks, but the Carolina Hurricanes are showing that this is a long ways from over, and sometimes the result doesn't match the process. The process, as Rod Brindamore alluded to, and we've talked about on the show, was pretty good through the first 3 games, but somehow they were down 3-0. So trying to come back in the series, they're clawing their way back, scratching and clawing, and they're feisty, and they'll continue to go. And then with Dallas, clean front to back last night in that game, and looking pretty good.
Hey, I see you, Edmonton. We got a lot of people writing in here from Edmonton today, including Mandy. She says, good day, RP and crew and fellow watchers. I'm hoping to learn something about the CFL today. Well, when you do, Mandy, let us know. And John, by the way, has talk of the Oilers' goaltending situation going into Game 4 tonight. We're not there yet because for the 8,700th time in Hour 1, we talk about last night's games, and then in Hour 2, we talk about tonight's games. They're never going to get it, but I'm just going to keep saying it like the teacher at the front of the room. So to the big story. This is what we do every day. If you walk into a coffee shop, what are they talking about? Well, in my world, it's Valeri Nichushkin of the Avalanche. My timeline's been full of this. I was on the phone with friends dealing with this because I am a certified mental health and a recovery coach, addiction recovery coach. Here's the story. Colorado Avalanche forward Valeri Nichushkin was suspended at least 6 months without pay and placed in Stage 3 of the league's player assistance program before Game 4 last night of their second-round series with Dallas. The NHL and the Players Association announced the news about an hour before the start of the game with the Stars. It's the second time this season he's been in the program. Stage 3 means Nichushkin violated the terms of the program. The 29-year-old Russian forward will miss the rest of the postseason in the first month of next season. He leads the team with 9 playoff goals this year. Colorado lost 5-1 to Dallas last night. So, where do I start with this? Stage 3, I just explained what it means. It means you've been there multiple times. It also means this is the discipline that you face. It ain't good. I will not mention my friend because he doesn't understand addiction like I do, and I've lived it, so I do understand it. He called Nichushkin a dirtbag. And I said, oh, did any details come out of what he did? Well, no, but he's leaving his team in the lurch here. I said, that's a fact. And do you think he's happy about that? Probably not. I said, Austin Matthews missed games in round 1. Willie Nylander missed games in round 1. You're not calling them dirtbags. If you use the disease model, which I firmly do, certified in it, licensed, and have a diploma in it, it's kind of what we think. It's a disease. It's not a choice. And for people that, why would you choose this? Letting your team down. Why would I choose all the horrible things that addiction did to me? It's not a choice. So I feel for the player. It's a bad situation all around, and I'm just flipping it a little bit for just another way to look at it. You wonder why there's a stigma. This is what people think. You wonder why people don't want to enter recovery, why players wouldn't want to go in the player assistant program, because the whole world knows. Fortunately, maybe I'm 9.5 years sober. You get to a point where you realize it doesn't matter what they think. You need to get better. Because I haven't heard a whole lot of people saying, I hope he gets what he needs, other than his coach said that, Jared Bednar. last night. It's not ideal, but it is what it is, and you deal with it. That's my TED Talk on Valerie Nichushkin. You?
It's not an ideal situation. I default, and defer to people like you in this situation to understand more about the situation, about the people, and the aspect of what goes into it. We just look at the most critical time of the year, and that's when it happens. And it's unfortunate, but that the healing's not done. He's not in, and maybe it's never done. But there's more work to be done. So he's going to go and do the work that it needs to do. And you know what? Professional teams that win Stanley Cups have to deal with adversity. I don't know that there's a team that's won a Stanley Cup that's done so with zero adversity. So other players need to step up, support him, support the team, fill the role, and life moves on for the Colorado Avalanche. And this is just a piece of adversity. It's not the end of the world or the end of their Stanley Cup chance.
Yeah, and hey, this guy is one of my closest friends that referred to Nichushkin as not a douchebag, a dirtbag. And although if he'd said that, that wouldn't have surprised me either. He's a hockey guy, and this is how they look at things. I get that. But it's not the end of the world, as you say. You can look at it as any other injury. And as I said to him, and I'm not sure I told you, I don't think I said this to you on the phone earlier, but I know people that have been to rehab 7, 8, 9 times. Finally, it clicks. Some people, it never does. I never went, although I was directed to go. I said, no, I'm not going. Nope. After I faced an intervention, and they said, well, you need to stay sober, so however you devise a plan to do it, if you stay sober, you're good. If you don't, you're going to rehab the next day. I said, I'll take that deal, and never drank again. So it's different for everybody. That's all that I'm saying. I hope for the best for Nichushkin and the Avalanche. It is what it is. From the audience, Jeremy writes in, he says, NFL nailing it. Ravens, Bengals for the Chiefs, week 1 and 2. Let's go. Hang on. I actually do have something on that coming up in the quick show topics, but I'm not quite ready for it to get there yet. John Schmeiser writes in, he says, good morning from Kansas City. Allie in Texarkana says, just hope my Stars don't take their foot off the gas. The Avs can turn on a dime. And another from Jeremy, he makes a really, he quotes me. So he made a good point by quoting me. He says, Dallas is built to win, rolling 4 lines, and they have goaltending. Rod's quote, Dallas is driving the bus, Colorado's riding it. And that just came into my head yesterday. Thank you, God. I would call that a God shot. I've never heard that before. But Vancouver's driving the bus, Edmonton's riding it. Florida's driving the bus, Boston's riding it. You can maybe wrestle the wheel away, but right now that's just kind of the way it's going in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Mandy in Edmonton says, preach, RP, I hear you. I hope she's referring to the recovery thing. It's just, I've lived it, and it does suck, the things that are said, but I also believe, how many times have I said it? Everything happens for a reason, and I've been put in this role to help people, obviously, that are in Nichushkin's spot, but also maybe just shed a little light or give a little different perspective on what they are battling. Well, and Allie goes on to say, he says, you have to think about the stress these guys are under right now. I don't want to go all recovery coach on you, but everybody's dealing with stress. You're not special. You can't go do these things that are unhealthy. You can't. We need to find another way for you to deal with the stress because everybody's dealing with stress. You know what I mean, Darren? That's kind of the way that's how those conversations go. We just found an unhealthy way to deal with stress. That's part of it. So thank you for the nice things that you said there. Okay, I'm going to jump in. Listen, I'm saving tonight's NHL games plus the junior. Does anybody else care about the junior besides me and Moose a little bit? Because I flipped on NHL Network last night, and it just made my heart feel so good. Oshawa was playing London, and Oshawa had the half-and-half lids, the blue and red, like they've been wearing since the 80s. I love that they haven't gone away from that. It was a great game. The barn in Oshawa was packed. The Centennial Cup's going on. Does anybody care about that? I know we do. It's kind of a rhetorical question, but I just love it so much. I wish more people did. But what they do love is the National Football League. Point 3. It's rare for an NFL game to be overshadowed by who is in the broadcasting booth. The NFL schedule is going to be announced tomorrow night, but one of the biggest games has been released already. Fox said its late Sunday game in Week 1 will be the Dallas Cowboys at the Cleveland Browns, September 8th at 4:25 p.m. Eastern. More notable than the game is it will mark Tom Brady's debut on Fox. The all-time great quarterback signed a monster 10-year, $375 million deal with Fox and will be the network's lead color commentator. I believe he's making more money as a color guy than he ever made as a quarterback. Yeah, pretty sure about that. And we love Tom Brady here, and we're broadcasters, so this story is kind of like right in our wheelhouse. And I watch for I'll be watching for Tom while I watch, and I'm a Cowboys fan. So it works out perfectly for me. But I guess Fox got special permission by the NFL to leak one game. The NFL allowed the networks to leak one game. Make it good. That's the one Fox wanted to leak, that it's Tom's first game. That's pretty cool.
That's very cool. Very cool. I'm really curious to see how he's going to do. The ratings are going to be through the roof because of that. Tom will be a big driver for that. Yeah, a lot of pressure on him. But if we know one thing about Tom Brady, he's going to put in the work and he'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. Wow. They said he was in covering broadcasting games last year with a tape recorder, which doesn't surprise me. People seemed surprised by that. This guy, you want to win, you might need to go the extra mile. Now, you watch the Man in the Arena documentary on Tom Brady, which you did. What'd they say? The night before Super Bowls, Tom's texting his teammates, quizzing them. Do you know your assignment? What if this happens? What are you going to do? Blah, driving them all crazy. Guess what? They freaking won! So some of us are a little too intense when we're putting people through those. It annoys them. So just back off. Tom doesn't have to worry about that anymore. As far as winning Super Bowls, I'd love to see. So he'll be with Fox. He's the number one guy. Who's their number one guy? Is it was Aikman? Oh, they're over at ESPN, aren't they? It's Kevin Burkhardt. I wonder if he'll be texting Kevin Burkhardt asking if he's ready. Probably.
Burkhardt will be like, all right, Tom again. Tom, it's 11:30 at night, man. I'm trying to just tuck my kids into bed. I don't know if he has kids, but Tom will be doing that. Hey, I'm watching this play ZY thing. You see this in the Cincy game? I'm watching this from last week. This is how I think we should do it. He'll be doing those things. I just know he will. And Burkhardt will be just, let me call the game. You do your thing. But I think they'll be good together. I'm looking forward to it.
Listen, Eric Tillman is a friend of mine. I know a lot of people hate him, but people that have won, we get told we wear people out. Tillman's won 3 Grey Cups with 3 different teams in the CFL. We're on people all the time. We wear them out. Sometimes it gets old, Tom and that whole New England split, it gets old. So you either give up or go somewhere else. And there's another TED Talk today. We got a lot more to get to. Tim Peel and Rich Sutter on the way. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, buddy, it's an RP show, episode number 1243 in IKS Media Production. And just before we bring the moose in, here's a reminder. Reward your love of movies by signing up for Landmark Extra for free today. Get more of what you love, free movies and concession items, invites to exclusive screenings, special events, and more. There are 3 programs to choose from. All you got to do is go to landmarkcinemas.com for more information and to sign up, as I said, for free. Moose, I'm getting derailed earlier than I normally do. Usually it's the start of hour 2. There's just so much going on. And I'll remind everybody that I went to the movie Challenger on the weekend. 2 thumbs up for the Monday Morning Goldie. You said, what was the last movie that you went to? I forgot.
Civil War.
Civil War, right. So we are movie people. Yeah, we love movies. We love them. I want to get into the immature nature of some of the squabbles that are going on. Edmonton, I know you're all rocking off the hinges getting ready for tonight. I know that. And if you can wait until hour 2, we're going to spend a lot more time on it. But when you consciously do what I've done the last couple of weeks, and that's cut down your social media consumption by like 90%, you really miss out on a lot of stuff. And the thing is, that's fine. I just found out that apparently Mark Spector's into it with the event, like he's the Edmonton reporter with Sportsnet. He's into it with Vancouver media. And Tony Gallagher, which the name would mean nothing to you, Darren, but he was the Adam Schefter of Vancouver, whatever you want. He was the man. Apparently, he came out on the Sakaris and Price podcast and addressed Spectre. And I'm like, you guys are the damn newspaper writers. You're not playing. You're not playing. And this Boston, Florida thing, the podcasters and the bloggers, they're getting after each other. And I'll say it again. You're not playing. Okay? You're not with the teams. So what the hell's going on? On the flip side, gosh dang, it's entertaining. Isn't it? Like, it really is. And by the way, Serena and I did do our YouTube live or our Instagram live last night, and it went over very well. We addressed why Sam Bennett won't fight Patrick Maroon, despite him trying to get him to fight. Her thoughts on Kachuk haven't changed. Officiating, which reminds me, before we go any further, that is our poll question today. You know that on my tombstone, you should put on the 117th floor of my tombstone, because there's a lot of sayings on there, but he never wanted to talk about officiating. I never wanted to. But I also understand that everybody is, and I would be an absolute idiot to ignore it. And I turn on NHL radio today, and they're blathering about it, and the Bruins radio guys complaining about them getting screwed, and the Bruins GM, Don Sweeney, has a news conference yesterday to talk about how they're getting screwed. So the poll question is this today: how much has officiating affected the Stanley Cup playoffs? And your options are a lot, no more than normal, or very little. And I would vote no more than normal. What would you vote as I look up what the result is right now?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I vote no more than normal. Like, we talk about officiating every time. We talk about it every game. We talk about it, and we've been doing this for years. We've been doing this for decades. I think officiating, even if you believe that it affects the game a lot, it's the same as it's always been. It's not getting better. It's not getting worse. It's actually, I'd probably say the officiating is getting better because we've had some video review. So, no, I say about the same as it's always been.
Kevin the Medium's chimed in, and he says Gallagher is the man. Tony Gallagher is the man in Vancouver. You know how Ryan O'Radio, who runs this show on WQE, he's the man around here, around Atlanta. That's Tony Gallagher in Vancouver. So he came out, and he's not writing anymore. He's like, this is how I would address Mark Spector of Edmonton. I'm like, you're newspaper writers. Stop it. Or continue, whatever. I don't care. It's fun as hell. But I look at, Darren knows full well, he was a fan of my former life and former career, and I was embroiled in this stuff as a radio broadcaster to the degree that I needed police escorts into and out of town because I was goading the fans, the other team's media, the other team. I'm not going into those stories today. But I look back and go, what an idiot I was. What an absolute maroon. What a donkey. Didn't get me anywhere.
What?
Ruined a lot of friendships. What?
It at the time, it did look like you and the two guys on the other side, it did look like you guys were all enjoying it and having fun.
Of course, it was fun. But again, I wouldn't do it again. I would not do it again. Listen, the police escort, they don't give you those for nothing, by the way. Just say, I was threatened physically. I was threatened to be killed by fans of the other team. And I'm like, I wouldn't do it again, is my point. So I'm looking at these guys, and I named the Edmonton, Vancouver guys, but I'm not going to name the guys here because I live here. I'll probably see them tonight. You're already older than me as it is. You're older than me now. I did that crap in my 20s. I was an immature punk. You guys are in your 50s. And it's the National Hockey League, not junior hockey. What the hell are you doing? Again, fun as hell. Do whatever you want. But how come I had to put up with so much crap and get police escorts? They seem to be doing fine. By the way, YouTube, I don't know what the vote is on YouTube, but on Twitter, leading the way is no more than normal. So there is much more being made about Don Sweeney calling a news conference, Susie getting suspended for a game for cross-checking McDavid in the face, which, by the way, I can't wait to get Tim Peel on here next. But I felt like saying this about McDavid. How hurt is he? How hurt is he? The severity of the injury should not go into the discipline. Why not? Yes, it should. He wasn't hurt by it. I think I agree with the game. But I'm sure Oilers fans, they probably want him thrown in jail, let alone 2, 3, 4, 5 games. What did you think about one game for Soucy and the cross-check to McDavid's face?
One game is totally fine. I know, player or fans, especially Vancouver fans or, Oiler fans will say, a player is a player is a player, and they all need to be treated the same. And the discipline needs to all be the same. But I also think you need to protect your stars. Your stars, people hate to hear it, they're worth more. And so you do need to treat them a little bit differently and make sure you protect the stars. And a cross-check to McDavid's face is a lot different than and I hate to say it, but it's different than a cross-check to a fourth liner's face. It is in a heat of a game. Those guys are there trying to do those things. McDavid, it's rare. But a game is fine. A game is fine. I wouldn't do more than that.
Dude, you're wandering out to the end of the diving board here. What have you done with Darren DuPont? You're really getting off your perch. Like the Boston Bruins radio guys on the radio this morning, NHL radio, reading the rule book as to why the Sam Bennett goal shouldn't have counted the other night. And I looked him up. He looks like a young guy. He looks like whatever the age is behind millennials. You're going to have to explain to them because they were raised to be fair. Everything's fair. It ain't fair sometimes. And you just said the rules aren't the same for everybody. He said it, not me. DuPont said it, not me. So don't come at me as the old hard ass. DuPont said it. The rules aren't the same for everybody. Jen writes in from the Four Seasons, and she says, good morning, y'all. Game day tonight. Hoping for the boys to bounce back and get the W. These Oilers fans, man, they just can't. They're just... You thought Leafs fans were a lot to deal with. At least they only last a round. These Oilers fans are tough to keep at bay.
They're like you yesterday with the glass of water. They just had their 6th cup of coffee, maybe their 8th espresso, Yeah, exactly. Just can't wait for the game.
God, that was good. Which, by the way, I don't know why you guys give me a show. Like, I look at David Portnoy, the founder of Barstool Sports, the founder of Spittin' Chicklets and McAfee. I went to his event at Super Bowl. I told you that with my guy Nick from Oakville, Ontario. And all it was Portnoy and 2 buddies sitting on a couch at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville talking crap about everybody, like running everybody down and just saying horrible things about people. I'm like, this is entertainment now? Portnoy's the one that was about Kachuk. It was hilarious. But it's just spreading hate is what flies. If that's what you want, I can't do that. I know that's not what you want, but if that's what the public wants, that's not me. I can't do that. Okay. Silver Carpenter text line. Canucks fans ain't much better than Oilers fans. Dave Forster writes in and he says, Vancouver has not been given enough credit. Dallas and Vancouver, Western Final. If I'm wrong, I'll buy Darren coffee. That's from Dave Forster.
Perfect.
You know him?
I know Dave.
Okay. Well, what annoys me is we're not getting that credit. When the hell are you guys going to listen? It's like Jets fans. Remember how upset and butthurt you were when the guys in Spittin' Chicklets said you were frauds? How's that look now? We want credit because we're the #1 team in January in the NHL. How's that looking now? How's it looking? Piss off with your credit. I'm so tired of that talk, man. I can't, man.
Yeah.
I can't.
I know. And everybody wants credit. And look, Canucks fans were wanting that too when they were in first place and end of the season. And you know what? Hindsight, we don't give them enough credit, okay? Because look what they're doing to Edmonton.
Who cares?
A lot of, most people think Edmonton's going to roll, but at the end of the day, who cares, right? It's a good thing to be underestimated and prove it on the ice, and they're doing that. And that's how you win fans. And grow. And Rick Tockett's a great example. He didn't care about getting the credit. You know, I've never heard Rick Tocchet get to the podium and start whining. He's a great example, and I think we need more people that can follow that.
Well, and by the way, people need to grow up a little bit on a few things. Like now, listen, I'm getting like right embroiled in this Panthers-Bruins series. I tweeted from the Cats and Bolts account a photo of Sam Bennett holding a baby, but it's Brad Marchand's head, and Marchand's crying. I don't know if you've seen that or not. And my guy Zig Fracassi just written me huge. Yeah, right. Zig Fracassi just wrote me and goes, "Careful. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with it. If we can't have fun," I'm not talking about Zig specifically, but just people that can't get over stuff and you can't, like, grow up. Not Zig, but just everybody else. I mean, again, they're not over in Calgary what I said about the Stampeders. They're not over it in Moose Jaw. They're not over it. That's my point is I'm never going to do this stuff again. Because people, they can't get over it. They can't forget. You know, like, listen, that's why I didn't want the Panthers and Lightning to face each other in round one. Because I knew there would be some hatred. Like somebody put a sign up behind the Lightning bench that says Tampa smells right behind John Cooper. I'm like, I want to share that. But no, somebody will get mad in Tampa and I'll never be able to go in there again. And I won't get a media pass and I'll need a police escort. No. So I'm not going to do that. So I put this thing about Marchand up and Zig's mad. Steve Smith writes in from Steinbach, Manitoba, and he goes, "Let's go, Moose Jaw Warriors. It's going to be rocking at the Jaw tonight. So exciting." Yes, it is. Yes, it is in the Rempel Temple. Moose, I'll see you back here for hour 2.
See you then.
Can't wait. I love our next guest. I've never even met him. Tim Peel joins us next live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The race for the Cantera Seed Cup continues on Flow Hockey TV. The SJHL playoffs are on.
60 minutes and who wants it more?
Follow the race for the Cantera Seeds Cup on Flow Hockey TV. The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live. Seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, let's go. A reminder, when we talk hockey, which is all day today, it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company in Calgary, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Let's please bring in retired NHL referee Tim Peel. We've got a long way to go, not a lot of time to get there. But, Peeler, you heard me say Calgary. What was your favorite road city, if you don't mind? You must get that all the time. What was your favorite road city?
Favorite Canadian city would be Montreal. I loved working in Montreal, even though I grew up a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I grew up, I'm 58. I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and Montreal would always beat Toronto on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday night. But I love the atmosphere in Montreal. Favorite U.S. city would have to be New York City. From a kid from a small town working and just walking around on a day off and enjoying the people watching in New York City.
Nobody ever says sunrise, but that's okay. It's a nice little secret down here. Tim, you and I have never met, but I can just tell you're my kind of guy. I hope that we do, and that Snipes and Stripes podcast is outstanding. We'll talk about that more at the end. But our poll question today is, how much has officiating affected these Stanley Cup playoffs? The options are a lot, no more than normal, or very little. What would you vote?
I would say no more than normal. It always it's like death and taxes. Rod, it's the same thing it literally is the same conversation every year. And some of it's justified sometimes, some of it's not. We can talk about the Florida Boston series and so on, but I haven't seen any games. Listen, there's going to be calls that one fan base doesn't like, that another fan base says, oh, that's a penalty, and you're not going to keep everybody happy. But I haven't seen any call that's decided a game other than maybe the goaltender interference in Boston the other night. I'm still a little confused over that.
The Sam Bennett goal, yes. Well, don't ever change, Peeler. Keep giving your opinion, and I kind of get a sense you aren't going to change. Not at this stage of the game. So Don Sweeney comes out on Tuesday and says, we're getting screwed, the GM of the Bruins, at a news conference. Does that ever have any effect? I've always have been calling out the refs, saying, get them on your side. Is right or wrong?
No, you know what? And I've got a lot of respect for Don Sweeney. It's very frustrating for them. I think he felt they could be tied 2-2 in this series now. Now they're down 3-1. Tough to win 3 out of the next 4 games against a team like that, or 2 out of the next 3 games. What usually happens is it's not so much the GM. Well, it is the GM. The GM will go to, there's a series supervisor for that particular series, Boston and Florida. And I don't know who it is off the top of my head, but we'll say it's Bill McCreary, the Hall of Fame, because he was a series supervisor in the first round. Don Sweeney will go to Bill McCreary on a day off, morning of the game, say, hey, so I'll give you a better example. When Toronto and Boston were playing for years in the Stanley Cup playoffs, we would always be told, hey, the drip is Patrice Bergeron is cheating on the faceoffs. That would always be the drip. Toronto would always complain Patrice is cheating on the faceoffs. And some of it may be accurate, but he was just such a good faceoff man. And maybe he did get away with a little bit more than maybe a rookie centerman. I'm not sure. I'm not a linesman, but that would always be the drip. So the same thing in this series would be, hey, Florida's hooking us. They're boxing us out. They're slashing more. That it's just that little drip to the series supervisor, and then his job is to decipher what is really valid and what is just white noise. And he'll sit down. So this morning or at the rink, the series supervisor will sit down with the officials, and the guys that are working the game tonight already know what's gone on in the series. But he'll have a chart and he'll say, here's how many slashing penalties, here's how many tripping penalties, here's how many goaltender interference penalties. Here's kind of what we're seeing happen in this series, and we need you to tighten up on a certain a rule or a certain area of the game. It's all gamemanship right now, and I'm not so sure. There's been a big cry for officials to come and speak to the media after the games, and I'm not necessarily no to that. It's just like anybody in any work of life, Rod, some people are better public speakers than others. Wes McCauley and Kelly Sutherland would do an excellent job coming to speak to the media. Other guys, might not be as comfortable, and they may just just become a complete disaster.
Yeah, but Peeler, at what point do we say it's sour grapes? There's that. Why should they have to address it? Now, the Bruins guy on the radio this morning, I don't know if you listen to NHL radio or not, the Bruins radio guy was like, in MLB, the umps have to speak. In the NFL, the refs have to speak. Why don't they in hockey? I'm like, you're just pissed off you didn't get the call, which, by the way, the Bennett thing was upon review. What would be the point of talking to the guy on the ice?
1,000%, you are absolutely correct. Having the referees come out to discuss that play absolutely makes no sense. I agree with you. The NHL, people, I was getting messages, the referees, they want Florida to win, the league wants Florida to win, blah, 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 blah. They're blaming the referees for that Sam Bennett goal, but at the end of the day, the buck stops at the situation room. As the referee on the ice, we call it a goal or no goal, but then we go to the situation room, and Chris King, Kay Whitmore, Colin Campbell, guys that have had 30 years of experience doing this, they're the ones that make the final decision. It's not the referees. They take the referee's input on the ice, but at the end of the day, it's the situation room's final decision. So you can't blame the refs all the time. And you know what, Rod? Good teams don't blame the officials.
Boom. But what about Sam Bennett giving Marchand one of these in Game 3? How is that missed?
Well, that's missed very easily because, as you know, we didn't see the other angle until TNT. It's like it's a little bit. It sounds a little bit fishy, but we didn't see that feed until a couple hours before game time on TNT. So you can see how the officials missed it, and the players and everybody. I guarantee you, the fans that were watching that, the players on the ice, nobody really saw what happened. So it's easy to miss that call. I don't like that play. I'm sorry. Personally, I think Sam Bennett, listen, I would have him on my team every day. Do I think he deserved to get a game suspension? I do. You know what? You just knocked out the captain of the Boston Bruins. It would be like if Pat Maroon knocked out Matthew Tkachuk. You got to put yourself in that position as well. And there would, heads would want to roll. I think he should have set a game, and then to put salt in the wound, of course, it's the hockey gods. You and I have been around the sport for a long time. It happens. It's the hockey gods. And of course, Sam Bennett's got to score in Boston and just rub the salt right in the wound, because the Boston fans and management and media probably didn't even think Sam Bennett should be playing in that game.
And it always evens out. Could even start evening out as early as tonight, right? This series isn't over. And with regards to how is it missed, I guess the better question is, how is every camera angle not made available to the officials? Which I know that it's not. That's my question. How do you not have every angle, right? And that's something, I guess, that needs to be fixed. And I guess, lastly, for those that don't follow Tim on Twitter, you better start, because you aren't afraid, man. That's why I love your Twitter. I mean, you obviously love going back and forth with the fans.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, last night I get a message on Twitter. The referees put the whistles away at MSG, and that's why the Hurricanes won. And I just started. I go, the Hurricanes. New York didn't lose because I watched that entire game last night. Peter Laviolette would be the first one to say the officials did not lose that game for us. We lost the game. We let our foot off the pedal, and Carolina came in hot. So, you know what? I give my opinions, and that's all they are. They're just opinions. Like people get so upset these days, Rod, when you make a statement. And all I'm saying is, hey, that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean that it's right. And it probably isn't right. But we're all entitled to our opinions. And you know, I heard you talking before about the Edmonton Vancouver series. Man, these fans these days are crazy. In both of these cities, they literally want to kill each other. It's what makes our sport so fun, because our fans are so passionate. And this is why this second round, to me, has been the best second round in the last few years of playoffs. Usually the first round is really exciting. There's a lot of controversy and so on, because you've got teams that just snuck in. But right now, we've got 8 good, solid hockey teams that I think anybody could say, you know what, other than maybe Boston, any of these teams can probably win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah. This round is made up for everything round one might have missed, right? There was some good series there, but not everyone. This one's been deadly. Tim, thank you. Keep up the great work. Can't wait till we chat again.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks for having me.
Retired NHL referee Tim Peel. We'll be right back with a sports update, audience takeover. Rich Sutter on the way in hour 2. And there's the number, 902-518-3033. We are live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you.
3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
One night in Edmonton, we were out on the town, and there was a guy by the name of Bain Norrie.
How about that?
Bain says, "I'd ever tell you guys about the night I was out with the Rolling Stones?" And I'm like, "Come on, what was Mick Jagger like?" And he's like, "Well, no, Mick Jagger and Keith Richards weren't there. It was the rest of the band." And I hit the floor. "You weren't with the Rolling Stones then, Bain."
Keith Richards and Mick Jagger are the Rolling Stones.
Exactly.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That was a big, fun night at the Rose and Crown in Edmonton with Bain Norrie. Shout out Eskimos alumni. The Moose is going to be with us right away. It's hour 2. We're coming in hot. What we do here is look ahead to tonight's games, but Oilers and Canucks fans just couldn't wait. And we were actually really all over that in hour 1. There are 2 Stanley Cup playoff games tonight, including one in Edmonton where the Oilers host the Vancouver Canucks, trailing the second-round series 2-1. Canucks will be without defenseman Carson Soucy, who was suspended a game for cross-checking Connor McDavid in the face. The Florida Panthers host the Boston Bruins tonight with a shot to eliminate the visitors who trail their series 3-1. Let's please bring in Moose. We didn't quite, Moose, get through all the quick 6 show topics, but that's okay. That's why we bring you back here. And the first show topic was last night's NHL games. The second, the big story, was Nichushkin of the Avalanche going into players' substance abuse program, stage 3. Talked a lot about that. 3, Tom Brady's first game in the broadcast booth for Fox will be Dallas Cowboys at Cleveland Browns. And now NHL tonight, which I mentioned. That's point 4. Point 5, Dalton Varsho had a homer, 2 RBIs, and a circus catch that prevented a homer as the visiting Toronto Blue Jays defeated the Baltimore Orioles 3-2 in 10 innings Monday night to open a 3-game series at Camden Yards. Bo Bichette had 3 hits. Vladdy Jr. had a hit and 3 walks. Starter Jose Barrios pitched 7 innings of 2-hit ball. And then point 6 was randoms. That could be any one of a variety of things. I always love the randoms. It's a cheap way to get out of coming up with a 6th topic. The WHL Game 3 tonight, Moose Jaw Warriors. Centennial Cup getting after it. Blue Jays again at the Orioles. NBA playoffs. What's in your sports vortex right now at the start of hour 2 of this Tuesday show? You tell me.
Yeah, that's in my sports vortex. Those things, had a call this morning. We're talking a little bit about, the Western Hockey League Championship and the OHL final. That Oshawa London series, pretty good. London big comeback last night, so that's really fun to watch. And because you opened the door, the Italian Open in tennis as they gear up for the French Open at Roland Garros. That's the outside of my sports vortex right now. But I will concede it's like 90 to 95% NHL playoff.
That's a reach that I opened the door for the tennis. That's a major, because I mentioned a tennis movie in hour 1. That was how I opened the door.
You just said what's on my sports vortex.
Randoms.
So I took the opportunity.
Oh yeah, I didn't. That wasn't opening the door to talk tennis. Good try though.
Thank you.
Tim Peel is just the best, and I've never met him, but some people you can just tell you're going to hit it off with, and Tim Peel's my kind of guy. And he hosts a podcast with Jeremy Roenick called Snipes and Stripes, and it's kind of where we're going as a society and the media, where I want to know the truth, and I think the audience wants to know the truth. And he got to the truth of the officiating matter in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It was with relating to our poll question today, and that is, how much has officiating affected the Stanley Cup playoffs? A lot, no more than normal, or very little. He voted for no more than normal. You voted for no more than normal. I voted for no more than normal. And that's what's leading the poll, Darren. But as I jump to the text messages here, and I apologize, some of these questions came in while Tim was with us, and I didn't see it. From a guy in Edmonton who signs it from Truck in the Park. He says, can you please ask Tim about cross-checking? What is this penalty in today's game? Game to game, series to series, thanks. I just saw that. It is different. It's dumb. It's dumb to even come out and say, we're going to call cross-checking this year, because you're not. And if you had, the Sam Bennett penalty wouldn't have counted, and that was just a dumb thing to say. I'll just continue if you don't mind. Trevor in Red Deer writes in and he says, good morning, Rod Squad. I don't think reffing is any worse than usual. What's unusual is to have a press conference about it. Go Canucks, go. And by the way, he's a Flames fan. They just want Edmonton to lose in Calgary. And they hate Edmonton more than they hate Vancouver, so I understand it. But that's on the Don Sweeney thing. We went so fast at hour one, we didn't settle in on anything. The general manager of the Bruins has a news conference to tell the media that they're getting screwed in the series. And my thing is, why would you do that? That's actually not new, though. You've seen this happen. It's rare, but it happens, right?
Yeah, it's rare, but, you know, and for sure. But on the same vein, like, the reffing in the playoffs, I could go on about this forever and have the conversation because, and I have the conversation with fans. They're so adamant. I saw a lot of them, especially ones who haven't really played the game or have been out of the game for a while, because we all played the game when we were growing up. They want the rule book called the same in the regular season as it is in the playoffs. And it's just not the game's not the same. The games mean more. Everything matters more. So, you call the game effectively. This idea of managing the game needs to be taken seriously, but it also needs to be taken with a whole lot of responsibility, too, when you manage the game, because you need to understand how the game's being played. You need to be intimately communicating with both the teams and make sure everybody knows what the expectations are and working together. Because the last thing you want, nobody wants ticky-tack penalties to be called and to have 8 power plays per team per game. We don't want that in the playoff.
Well, I haven't been quoting my mom enough. That needs to, I need to quote my mom more, and I'm about to. But on one hand, all you need to do is watch the games and then turn your phone off outside the games. Stay off social media, but then watch this show noon to 2 Eastern every day. Then go and watch the games. Beyond that, don't listen to all the garbage. And I need to take my own advice. But the radio guy for the Bruins, everything that you're saying, the radio guy for the Bruins was on NHL radio this morning, reading from the rule book as to why Sam Bennett's goal shouldn't have counted the other night, reading off the fact that Florida's got 21 power plays to Boston's 11, blah, 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 blah. And while I was kind of going, you're just whining, I'm kind of sitting back going, that's also his job. So, right, I've been in those shoes.
Yeah.
And it actually sucks because you're saying things that you don't necessarily believe or support, but it's your job as the voice of the team. You have to do that. So I get that. And you're talking about how to deal with the teams. You're saying this needs to be laid out, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure. If they could be mature about it, that would be nice. But as far as the fans go, forget about it. Forget about it. Right? Like, that's a lost cause. There's nothing that I could say here or you could say, and this is where I'll quote my mom, you might as well piss into the wind. It's just going to come back on you. What's the point? It's not going to accomplish anything. There's a Judy Pedersen original. And so beyond all that, Twisted Mike writes in from the Queen City regarding tonight's Game 3 of the Western Hockey League Championship. And he says, Twisted Mike here, you know me, Rod, that I don't like the Moose Jaw Warriors. But I'm cheering for them to win the WHL. It would mean a lot to Moose Jaw and that franchise. And it goes to show that the small markets can win too. I've stepped back and not invested as a fan as I used to be, just because life gets in the way and also because of higher ticket prices. I went to 5 games last year. I used to go to like 20 or more. Don't even get me started on that. $40 for a Pats ticket. I could buy a Panthers ticket for $55? And I say could because in the playoffs, it's into the hundreds, and that's fine. It's the playoffs. I get it. The Pats tickets, it's ridiculous. But here's a guy that's matured and said he can appreciate what this would mean for the Moose Jaw Warriors. And as much as we went through all those rivalries back in the day, in 2006, the last time the Warriors were in the league final, I did cheer for them then too. I did. And to be honest, I kind of sat back and I remember questioning myself going, why am I cheering for them? It's our number one rival. I actually put it on rodpeterson.com and somebody said, because Rod, you're a sportsman. And that's a fact. Well, I did like to have fun in the barbs and rivalries and stuff. As you pointed out, I'm not a troll. Never have been a troll. So can we, not everybody's going to be able to grow up a little bit, but yeah, do you, like, listen, dude, they're unhinged now. We're only in round 2. How bad's it going to get?
Gonna get worse. Gonna get worse. Always does. Get into round 3 and into the finals. Like, it's, oh yeah, absolutely. Because again, the further we get into the playoffs, everything matters that much more. Rick Tocchet talked about it with the players. You know, you think you put in the hard work now and it gets easier. Newsflash, it keeps getting harder. So we just need to accept that it's always going to be hard. And you got to accept that the playoffs are, the games are going to matter more. Every call's going to matter more. So the complaining's only going to get worse because every missed call to the fan or anything else is going to feel that much more egregious.
What I think Tim Peel was getting at last hour was, and let's be honest, he's a referee, not a broadcaster. I could coach him up on that. He talked about the hockey gods. The Bruins are getting hosed in the series. Nobody, trust me, nobody here in Florida would want to hear that, and they darn sure wouldn't agree it, but it's a fact. The Bruins are getting hosed. That's what led to Don Sweeney calling a news conference, their general manager, to say it. But what Tim Peel's saying is, without even controlling it, that will change. But it's just tough when the stakes are this high and the emotions are this high. But those fortunes could change as early as tonight in Game 5, and that's why we love it so much. Jeremy writes in, he says, looks like Marchand is out tonight. So that'll help the Panthers for sure. Jen at the Four Seasons, big Oiler fan. She says, I'm not sure she wrote it a while back, and I don't know what she's referring to, but she says, like the glove in the net, but couldn't see the puck because of the black webbing. Well played, Canucks. That's a trick we've been using for a long time. Goalies. John in Edmonton says, Rod, thoughts on Netflix potentially getting Christmas Day NFL games and Major League Baseball on Sundays going to Roku? Don't care, bro. Not today. Not even close. Nope. Utah Darren writes in and says, it's the wave of the future, man. I don't know what he's referring to. I honestly don't. As I check the text line, Darren, what else you got going? I asked you that already. It's Stanley Cup playoffs, 90 to 95%. I will say this. There's a lot of CFL fans that have come here, and they just keep writing and writing and writing. And it's like we talked more yesterday than we normally would, and we try and save it to Friday. Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to mention. I was sitting with Dave Randorf, now the voice of the Lightning. He just completed his 4th season as the broadcaster for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And we talked about our love for the CFL. And he goes, you're still a fan, right? And I said, I'm not really following it. And he goes, he looked at me, he goes, we're still a fan. I said, well, I'll always be a fan, and I'll probably watch every single game. But as far as the day-to-day, I don't care who looked the best at quarterback for Saskatchewan on day 2 of training camp. Do you know what I mean? That's not my job anymore, and I don't care. But we're still fans. There is a difference. We talked about the Chad Kelly thing ad nauseum yesterday. 1 to 10, what's my fandom of the CFL? Probably a 7. But it used to be an 11, but my paycheck depended on it. It doesn't anymore. Hockey's where my heart and passion are. You and I talked about that this morning. People now know that we're a hockey show, and I know what I'm talking about. It's just not, the day-to-day is different the coverage as opposed to watching every game. There's a difference, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Difference in two when you're there in one market, covering it in the ins and outs and every little thing. That's the content, but it's so much to cover and so many markets to serve at the same time. But I am starting to see, I will say, after yesterday, I'm starting to see more training camp coverage a little bit. The floodgates aren't open, but I'm seeing it on my timeline a little bit. As we get further into main camp, I'm sure, and into the preseason, we'll actually see more of it. And some of the young rookies, the young Riders draft pick, the Canadian, is it Joe, who came on this show, is having a great start to camp. So I always like to, as well, keep an eye on some of the people who we have connections with, like him, who's been on our show. And so that's one of the stories I've seen.
Fair. Because I should not have opened the door, but I did. But we're up for a break, so I will answer this question real quick and then come back to more of the hockey stuff because that's what people, I feel, want more of today. But Mandy's a huge Edmonton Elks fan, and she's also a fan of ours. So I will show her the respective answer in the question. She says, RP, can you tell me the significance between private ownership versus public of the CFL? Absolutely. It's the difference between a privately held company and a publicly held company. A privately held is owned by one guy or a conglomerate. It's private. You need to show a profit. Dollars and cents matter way more in private ownership. Let's just say you answer to one guy, the owner of the team. It's not like it used to be, but again, that's private ownership. You're owned by somebody. Public ownership, which the Elks are, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and the Green Bay Packers, is you're not owned by anybody. You're owned by the public. You have a board of 12, right, that manages the money and manages the football team. And you would hope the one guy or gal that you put in charge of running this team as president isn't a complete and utter buffoon, which unfortunately has happened in Edmonton multiple times here over the last few presidencies, and that's what's got you in the bind that you're in. The difference is, as somebody said to me, because I heard the story out of Edmonton that we have X amount of million in the bank. We're very lucky. The Elks. I'm like, really? Because what I heard was if this was privately owned, if somebody's ass was on the line financially because they owned the team, they'd have folded it a year or two ago. So that's the difference. You probably would rather be community-owned team because you're owned by the community, but it also allows for a lot of lackadaisical monkey business because they're not really answering to anybody, right? It's a board of 12 people that couldn't find their ass with both hands in most cases, right? So I'll stop, but that's what it is. Community owns it. 12 people are run it or are in charge of running it versus privately owned. It's just say one guy owns it, like Amar Doman in BC or Bob Young in Hamilton, right? We'll be back. Mandy and RP, Mandy just says, RP just called his show a hockey show, for the record. Thank you for noticing. Do you want to rewind it back? We're a hockey show. Thank you, Mandy, for noticing. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
All right, welcome back, everybody, on a big hockey day on the RP Show on a Tuesday, episode number 1243. 2 games tonight. Boston at Florida looking to stay alive. Vancouver at Edmonton. Canucks up 2-1. Let's please welcome in a member of Hockey's First Family, the great Rich Sutter. I almost texted you the other day, Richie, because you became a celebrity all over again. I follow that gal that you were sitting behind at the Oilers game. That was quite a trip, eh? What's her name? Lisa? Lisa from the radio station there in Edmonton?
I don't know. My son Luke knows those people better than I do. He was on that told me he knew one or both of them or one or the other. But yeah, they were actually, he was pretty nice. The other guy was actually rather annoying. So
how about that?
Is what it is.
I get it. Oh, we gotta have a. I believe you, by the way, but I believe everything you say. I don't really know where to start, so I'll start with our poll question today, and you can take a swing at that, Richie. That is 13-year NHL veteran Rich Sutter with us. How has officiating affected the Stanley Cup playoffs? A lot, no more than normal, or very little? What would you say?
I'd say probably pretty much status quo, normal. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's things you got to fight through in the playoffs, and a lot of it is going to be a lot of adversity. And part of that adversity is dealing with some of the calls that either go your way or don't go your way, or you don't like or you do like. I just think that those guys are in tough spots too. Everything's happening so quick. I kind of did like the comment from someone the other day or yesterday about why aren't these guys being taken to task about being questioned about some of their calls, and what were their thought process, why they made the call or why they did make those calls. yeah, it's a great poll. It's a great question.
Yeah, I see. I don't like that. Tim Peel was with us last hour on the show, and they're all going to review now anyways. So why should the guy on the ice have to explain the call of the guys upstairs? That's my take on that. But for the benefit of all of our Oiler and Canuck, sorry, go ahead. Pardon me?
What Tim think? What Tim think?
He thinks it's no more bad than any other year. Right? He didn't say whether it was good or bad. It's just, he goes, we go through the same stuff every single year. That's from Tim Peel. But Oilers are down 2-1 in this series to Vancouver. You've obviously seen them, had your naked eye on them. Why are they down 2-1 in this series, the Oilers?
Well, I think it's obvious the starting point is goaltending. A total, night and day difference between both teams. Look, I'm becoming a Stuart Skinner fan. He's goals. I mean, in both series, there's been goals that were questionable. You can't have those goals you're expecting when hockey games in the playoffs. And you know what, everyone, I got family, huge Oiler fans on my wife's side, and they could not believe how dominating Edmonton was the other night, and all I want to talk about was the shots in net and how dominant the game was by one side. Well, quite frankly, I look at the game quite a bit differently, and I didn't see that at all. They had a lot of shots, yes, but where were they coming from? Where were the high danger chances coming from? Well, they normally come from inside what we call the house, and there wasn't many of those at all, especially the last 25, 26 minutes of the game. Look, I think it's a mental game for the Edmonton Oilers right now that they're losing. And I don't know how they think they're going to come out of it, honestly, because you got 6 guys that are watching a lot of hockey sitting on the bench watching. Yeah, they're not producing, but it's hard to produce. You got to keep going back to, well, at some point, hope they drink the water. But at some point, these guys are going to get frustrated too, because they're sitting there watching. You cannot keep running out 29 and 97 for 27 to 30 minutes a night. I think you're going to succeed.
Did Vancouver play that way before they went down to their third string goalie? And I ask because Tampa Bay played that way when they didn't have their Russian goalie, Vasilevsky, till December 1st. Exactly what you're talking about. They limited those shots from where they were coming from. Did Vancouver change that because Demko's out?
No.
Or were they playing that way all year?
No. Rick Talks has kept structure in place. The best thing could happen in that organization was him getting a test run at it last year. Knowing what he had, how things were going to be put in place, what were the expectations from day one in training camp last September. He's put that in place along with a really good coaching staff. They know what to expect, and they know what's expected of them as players individually in their roles, how they are to play and to play within structure. And I don't know that this team has done has had resounding success on how they've been able to manage that all year. And there's always more to give. Look, Talk has even told me himself, look, there's some guys here, there's definitely more to give from some of these guys, and he expects it. And good leadership core in that room. They expect more of each other. Do I expect more in Edmonton tonight, but I also expect Vancouver to be ready.
Wow. Well, I guess Edmonton hasn't really changed a whole lot from what they were in the regular season. I haven't watched Vancouver that much. I'm a little amazed at how good they are. But I guess they're this good.
Well, Rod, Edmonton hasn't changed a lot what they've done in the last 2-3 years, quite frankly. They miss Adam Henrique. I think Adam Henrique's the guy's been to cup finals. He knows what it takes. He's a warrior. He's a guy that they traded for that's probably not going to be in the lineup again tonight. They miss guys like that solidify, I wouldn't say necessarily your top 6, but your middle 6 group that can add more to your depth of your roster up front. They're not getting that. But with Vancouver, no, I'm not surprised at all what they're doing, what they're accomplishing at all.
I'm glad we got the time with you. Bruins, Panthers. But listen, I'm pulling for the Panthers. I live here, but I will say Boston's getting screwed. They are. Like, they have a reason to be upset. Is it too late, do you think, for them to come back, or what's your read on this series?
Well, if Brad Marchand's not playing tonight, it's probably going to be too late. But, I hate to say it, use this term, but, karma's a bitch. There's been a lot of pissing and moaning in the Boston area for the last 2-3 days about what happened to Brad Marchand. Well, do you know what? And they have a right to complain about that. But do you know what? How many times have we talked about this about Brad Marchand? How many times as a Boston fan, you cannot not admit that the things that he's done over his career, a lot like Sam Bennett. Can you imagine having Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand playing together on one team? You drive freaking out
Awesome.
teams nuts. I mean, Sam Bennett is doesn't play the game much differently than Brad Marchand. Sam Bennett is a willing participant as well. Will back it up. Will drop his gloves. He will play one way. Sam Bennett is built for the playoffs and built to win Stanley Cups with. He's that type of guy. I tried to say that 3 or 4 years ago with my former employer, and they thought I was crazy. Well, guess what? Look where Sam Bennett's at.
Please agree with me that Sam Bennett doesn't need to fight Patrick Maroon, because Maroon came out after Game 4 and goes, I'm trying to fight him. I'd like to stand up for my team and my captain. And I'm going, why would he fight you? It would be stupid for Sam Bennett to fight you now. Maybe next year. I don't think he needs to answer for it right now.
Sam Bennett's not going to waste his time. Like Sam Bennett, first of all, he's playing with a hand injury. He's playing to win. Sam Bennett is a top 6 forward in that group. I love Maroon, but Pat Maroon is not a top 6 forward. He's a 4th line at best. And you know what? So why would you waste your time with him?
Couldn't agree more. Thank you. And I know you love the coaching talk. So I guess Berube's interviewing with the Jets today. The Leafs have talked to Berube and Todd McClellan. New Jersey's in the mix. LA's looking for a coach. How do you expect this to end? You got any insight for us?
Well, it sounds like that Sheldon Keefe might have the inside track in New Jersey as of today or this morning. Him, like Craig, can basically pick their spots. I think Sheldon Keefe, first of all, is a terrific person, but also a better coach, and he will land somewhere very comfortably very soon, as will Craig. I know he's in Winnipeg today. That's awesome. There is some relationship there with some of the people in Winnipeg. So do you know what? I believe that Craig's going to pick his spot too. But the nice thing about it, wouldn't it be nice to have a job with not a coach that doesn't have a job today, that knows he's going to have one pretty quickly, just a matter of where and whenever it happens and who he ends up with. And both those guys will land on their feet very well, as will Todd, if Todd can find a spot too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing. You explain something about coaches to our audience. You'd like to think they learn along the line. Travis Green's a great example. Do you think he hasn't learned from his time in Vancouver and New Jersey? He's got to be a better coach now, I would think. Ottawa's getting a good one.
I think everyone learns. If you don't learn, you're out pretty quick, and you're out without any success. These guys have all had a degree of success with Craig winning a cup. Look, all learned along the way that, especially in today's age, you're stroking 23 to 25 different egos on a daily basis. It's also part of the babysitting process as well. And you got to have a strong staff around you. But the biggest thing at the end of the day, it's not always about your staff. It's about you as the head guy, and how do you communicate with this group, collectively and individually. I think the guys that have some personalities that are willing to do that and take a sincere interest in not just you, the player, but more importantly, the person and you and your family. Those are the guys that get a longer rope in that locker room. Those are the guys that the locker room learns to trust better. And I think some of these guys have started to figure that out. And it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, coaching the National Hockey League is a very, very tough gig. And like I said, you're dealing with a lot of different egos, a lot of personalities. Every day is a moving target. Something always going on every day. And it's a tough job. And those guys who get those jobs, hats off to them and good luck to all of them.
Couldn't agree more. Mandy in Edmonton says, Sutter is a straight shooter. You've been called worse, right, Richie? Been called worse than that.
Yep.
And
yep, for sure.
I was looking up, actually Clark looked this up. Craig Berube's from, correct me if I'm wrong, Calahoo, Alberta? Don't believe I've ever been
Just
through
west
there.
of Edmonton.
Where is?
Just west.
Is
just
it?
West of Edmonton.
Okay.
Yep. Not any bigger than Viking hometown, but Craig was a hell of a ball player too, growing up. A fastball pitcher. He was a good athlete, and for him to have the degree of success that he's had in the NHL, I look at guys like, him and Talk played together in Philly. Who would have thought 35 years ago, these two guys, or 30 years ago, these guys are going to be successful National Hockey League coaches? Well, the reason why they are is because, number one, they're great people. They're good personalities, but they're even better communicators, and they know how to play the game. And they played it a little bit old school, but they also understand the value of skill and how good these guys are today, and how important they are to you in your lineup, and that you must win with those type of guys in your lineup.
Hey, look at those guys from those Medicine Hat teams of the 80s. What they've all gone on to, right? That says something about what they had going on there in the Smarty Box. Okay, Rich, always fun. Enjoy the hockey. Let's do it again soon.
Okay, Rod, thank you. Have a great day in South Beach, Florida, and may the Panthers rise tonight.
Exact. Thank you. Wow. Time to hunt. Rich Sutter with us, member of hockey's first family. Sports update coming up, and then audience take over the rest of the way, whatever you all would like to talk about if we haven't covered it yet. We are live on the Game Plus television network, which is available all across Alberta and BC on television. TELUS Channel 924. And Rogers, Shaw, Channel 230. And, of course, streaming. And on the radio, WQEE in Atlanta, 99.1 FM.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. ICAST Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hi, everybody. The studio is here in gorgeous South Florida. It's game day in Sunrise. Bruins and Panthers tonight, game 5. Does it end? I'm going to say yes. We didn't make our picks. I'm going to take Florida to win, and I think Vancouver. Vancouver is driving the bus, and Edmonton is riding the bus. That's what I see. I don't think Edmonton is in a position to turn this around. And we have seen this before. It's like a Leafs movie. Regarding my little soliloquy there on addiction and recovery, Jeremy Shackleton says, well said, Rod. I stand by that. Here's a very key message I think people should hear. Mandy in Edmonton, who's been with us all day, and I appreciate her for it. She says, RP, one thing worse than being in recovery is being active. I don't agree with that statement. There are many, 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 many things worse than being in recovery. To me, this is what recovery looks like. I can't imagine any other way to live. I get to be an example that recovery works. One thing worse than recovery, and that's being active. There are many things worse than being in recovery. People have preconceived notions about you. That's their problem. Life's great in recovery, believe me. And I hope Valerie Nichushkin finds it, and anybody else that's struggling, because it can be great. We got some really good stuff here on that NFL schedule. Like, my God. Ryan McCarthy in Saratoga, New York says, I'm praying Aaron Rodgers' season lasts more than 4 plays. See, that's the thing. I mean, this could be an NFL show if we actually wanted it to be. Because when we did talk about the damn schedule coming out and people go ape. I get it. The best marketers in the world work for the National Football League. Can we all agree? Jeremy goes on to say that. He says the NFL knows how to market their sport. It ain't that hard. Saying to each network, you can all leak one game each. You've been going to pick which one it's going to be. And Fox leaked that their first game is Dallas at Cleveland. And it just so happens to be Tom Brady's first game. It's got everybody talking. It's not that hard. Allie in Texarkana writes in. She says, loved all of the hockey talk. Great show, RP and crew. Have a great day, everyone. Paul in Humboldt, Sask. Glad you asked. Writes in. He says, today's LOL line, Leafs fans are a lot to deal with. At least they only last one round. There you are. Don't be upset, Clark. I know you're not. What was the show you went to last night, Clark? Foreigner? Cold as ice? I'd like to see that. Paul in Humboldt goes on to say, P.S. I like Jared Bednar, too. He also is from Humboldt, Sask. Again, glad you asked. Bob in Saskatoon writes in regarding this coaching carousel. He says, good morning, RP people. The only Sutter coming to the Winnipeg Jets is Daryl. If Berube goes to Toronto.
How about that?
That's the thing. I think, note to self, I'm not telling anybody else how to deal, but don't take anything literally. Nothing. Zero that you hear. Zip. I got my guy watching right now in Lethbridge, Perry Shockey. We call him Perry S. Hockey. Perry Shockey. Shockey's the name, hockey's the game. And he used to always say, I believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. So initially I was like, what is that? I get it. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. And Shocks is made out just fine. So I can't put any stock in what I hear of anything. Why? I can see that it looks like it's going to be Scott Arniel in Winnipeg. He's been a head coach before. He's got the Winnipeg history, especially coaching the Moose. Took over twice when Rick Bowness left the team this year. If it's not Scott Arniel, I'll be shocked. But Kevin Cheveldayoff is obviously sitting there thinking, better is better. They think Craig Berube is going to be a better coach or could be a better coach for the Jets than Scott Arniel, then Craig Berube it'll be. Quite interesting that Rich Sutter said Berube is going to have his choice of teams. And he's probably earned it. Where's my gong? Oh, yeah, John Ohm. Says tonight's the night. Go Pomo and the Panthers. I guess that's what's next for me. Looking forward to it tonight at Amerit Bank Arena. Thank you for voting on our polls. Please support our sponsors. And you have yourself a great RP Show day. We'll see you back here tomorrow, noon Eastern. Same time, same place, same bat station. Game Plus Television and Key Radio 99.1. Be safe out there.
Who has more fun than us?
Bob's your uncle. Done deal.